There comes a time in every man's life when he must ask himself, if I were stranded on a desert island, what would I take with me if I could only have one thing? Now, to some people, most people, this would be a hypothetical, an amusing brain tease just to pass the time. But quite recently, I almost had to choose which one of my babies to take with me to total isolation. And that's because what I'm holding over here is not a pregnancy test. Oh no, this is a COVID-19 test. And guess who came out positive? Now, don't worry, this was over a week ago and nothing happened much apart from me losing my sense of smell and part of my sense of taste. However, when I first got diagnosed, there was the possibility that I would have to go intern myself into an isolated sanitary facility so I wouldn't endanger my wife. Now, as fate would have it, my wife also came out positive. Nothing happened to her, thankfully. But for a brief moment, when I was facing my darkest hour, I thought what any married father of two would think. Which one of my synths should I take with me? So in this video, I'm going to share with you my desert island list of music gear. If you're already a subscriber, big welcome back, and I'm very happy to be back this time. If you're new here,
hi, welcome to the Midlight Synthesist. Let's get started.
So before we start, in this particular desert island scenario, there is an abnormal abundance of electrical outlets, as well as just great Wi-Fi signal everywhere with free subscriptions to sites like Splice or Tracklib. I just got really lucky to get shipwrecked on this particular island. Second, this list only includes gear that I've extensively used or owned for a reasonably long time. Analog monosynths, polysynths, and all-in-one workstations. So here we go. At number 3, we have the Electron Digitone. Easily one of the most versatile boxes out there. The Electron Digitone combines an amazing FM synthesizer with the already legendary Electron sequencer. The Digitone packs a huge punch in a small box with complex but somehow manageable sound design capabilities and a sequencer that can make the 4 available tracks easily sound like 20. It also has some amazing effects and the ability to process external audio. It gets third place only because it can be a bit menu divey at times, as with any box that is this capable while still being able to fit in your emergency survival bag. Coming in at second place is the Roland System 8. Now, this was a very close call between the System 8 and the Novation Peak, and I'm sure I'm going to get lots of comments telling me how much you agree with me down there, right? Well, I know that lots of you think that the System 8 is just a big VST bundle with a great MIDI controller, but having owned the synthesizer for some time, I can tell you it is so much more than that. This thing lives and breathes and has a true heart and soul within its digital interiors. It has an amazing sonic palette, ranging from soft to harsh and everything in between. I really don't care if it's digital, because it made my hair stand on end with each pad I played. The System 8 will always have a special place in my heart, because whether it was sound designing on it or just playing around with it, it was always an emotional experience. And it only takes second place because I suspect that the green lights would attract too many mosquitoes on my desert island. Finally, coming in at an undisputed and extremely well-deserved number 1, the Arturia Polybrute. Now, never have I ever been waitlisted for so long for a synth, and never have I ever been so happy to have had the patience to stick around for it. This thing is a mothership of sound design and performance. It can do anything from deep bass to lush pads to whatever you can think of really, and it does so seamlessly with amazing musicality, and it has so many modulation options and ways to manipulate it on the fly that it's impossible to get bored or tired of just playing around with it. The Polybrute is truly a masterpiece and a testament to how far electronic instruments have come in our time, and I for one consider myself absolutely privileged to be able to own one. Next up are analog monosynths, and coming in at number 3 is the Korg Monologue. Now this was by far the easiest pick out of all my categories. This thing is cheap, it's small, it takes batteries, and will take you to hell and back with its unique tone and friendly interface. This little guy is the analog mono for the masses, be it beginners just getting their feet wet, wanting a taste of analog, or more advanced users that want a portable yet serious sound design device. If there are any tigers on my desert island, there's no problem. The monologue won't weigh me down. Now, coming in at number 2, the Analog 4. Now, this was a hard choice to make, mainly because I was torn between this and my trusty Sub 37. At its core, you get 4 independent monosynths that, just like the Digiton, and thanks to the ingenious Electron sequencer, you can make them sound like a barrage of analog synths. You also get an insane amount of sound design capabilities, which few other synths offer, as well as dedicated FX tracks and many IOs. My only caveat with the Analog 4, and let me be clear here, it's just my personal taste, is the sounds coming out of the Analog 4. I'm just not feeling the raw tone of the oscillators or the sounds of the presets that come packaged with it. But it does get second place on my list because the idea of having enough time to really explore this thing and discover its hidden treasures, that's really appealing. And first place for my desert island analog monosynth goes to, well, I actually thought it would go to my Sub 37. The Mo Matriarch. When I first heard the name, I couldn't wait to see what Moog had come up with, that they would be so confident to bestow such a hefty name on a synthesizer. After all, the mother and the grandmother were amazing synths, so to differentiate this one so much with that name meant this thing was serious. And lo and behold, we got what to me is one of the most involving and organic semi-modular synths out there. Its carefully thought out modules make patching on it a joyous affair, and the end result, the sound, is nothing short of mesmerizing. Even its rather controversial color scheme has grown on me, and I've realized that its bright colors have helped me navigate it more easily from the get-go. There are only a few synths out there that I can imagine myself listening to and playing on forever without ever getting bored, and the Matriarch is high up on that list. And finally, we come to our last category, all-in-one workstations. What's actually very hard about picking one of these for the rest of your life is that you don't only have to consider the workflow, but also the sound limitations and what they offer you in terms of infinity. So without further ado, here are my 3 all-in-one workstations. Coming in at third place, the Audible Synthstrom Deluge. This thing has won over my heart in the last few months since I got it. It takes everything that's good about Ableton and transfers it into a physical surface where you can mold music with your hands. It hosts an extremely powerful sequencer that holds its own against other greats like Electron, and also a bunch of amazing performance controls for on-the-fly improvisation and jamming, much in the same vein as my beloved SP404. A sampler, a sequencer, and a synth engine all in one in a small form factor. It's pretty hard not to fall in love with this. Now coming in at a close second is the Teenage Engineering OP1. Now if you've ever watched this channel before, there's no surprise to you. Well, I take that back. You might be surprised that it's not number 1 on my list. The truth is, even though it might not be the most powerful, the most fully featured, or the most well equipped, the OP1 is so much more than just an instrument to me at this point. It is a friend, a companion, and a partner. It has become part of my music making journey in ways that I cannot describe. But if you own an OP1, I don't think I need to. You already know. This thing is most definitely coming with me to my desert island. If only because I never leave home without it. Finally, number 1. You might be surprised at who I picked. Ableton.
No! God, please, no!
In my first place, the MPCX, Big Daddy himself. To me, it represents one of the highest points of music making technology. It's intuitive, powerful, and it has more knobs and IOs than you can shake a stick at. It has the look and feel and presence of a flagship device, and it is easily the most complete piece of music making gear I have ever owned. With its combination of all you can ask for hardware and impressive sampling capabilities, sequencing, and internal synths, the MPCX is one piece of gear I can make music on forever. Well, that's it for my list, but how about you guys? What would you take to your desert island if you could only have one thing? I'll see you down in the comments below and we'll keep the conversation going. If you made it this far in the video, huge thanks. And if you enjoyed what you saw, consider liking and maybe even subscribing, because it really helps the channel grow and I really enjoy being here. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful, or at least entertaining. See you in the next one. Whether it was sound design in it, because whether it was sound designing, hopefully in that situation I could eventually come to find its golden pearls. Golden pearls? Is that a thing? Also, if I'm going to be stranded on a desert island all by myself with free Wi-Fi access, I'm going to need a computer for research purposes.